Red tide report, guys. This is what's going off on the west coast of Florida, and you're starting to see all these fish kills. And we thought we had it bad over here. Over here on our coast, it's probably, I would say, 10 times worse over there.
I just showed Mike a video before we started here. Everything from snook to Goliath grouper. The water is black. If you think our water's bad here, look at the water over there. We are very fortunate to have our Gulf Stream the way we do. So what are your thoughts on it, Andy?
Well, I already know. I read up on this stuff, and I know it's an algae bloom. Okay, it's been going on for centuries on end. Everybody thinks that this is all new from pollution and whatnot. Granted, there's a lot that contributes from the pollution, but the reality of it is it's inevitable to happen. It's going to happen. It is getting worse and worse as the years go on. But I do believe that a lot has to do with the way the warming of the you know, what do you call it? Some people call it global warming.
See,
but the reality of it is,
all right, go ahead.
Yeah. The reality of it is, before everyone keeps on blaming the west side on the freshwater overspills, the reality of it is it's very minimal damage to what the freshwater does to intrigue that algae bloom, because that algae bloom is inevitable. So just before everyone starts arguing on that end, if you want to read up on it, you don't believe me, read up on it. It's inevitable. The red tide.
Freshwater can't help it, though.
No, it's not helping it. I grant it.
Yeah.
Granted, it's not helping it. But I'm just telling you, the facts are. Well, I tell you what. There's supposed to be a bacteria, eating bacteria over there. So some people are dying. And some in Sarasota.
Yeah, flesh-eating bacteria.
Yeah, they have a couple people that died over it. Some people got, you know, saved by it. But there's quite a handful of people that got thing. That has to do with the freshwater.
And that's going to kill tourism too. You know, right now summer break, a lot of families are going out. You know, and these beaches, it's not they've got to be testing that bacteria constantly on the ocean, because you know all it takes is you know, somebody from Michigan coming down here and going in the water and dying because of it. You know.
Well, I'm actually going there in a week. So
did you bring your American flag Speedo with you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did.
So here's my thought on that.
Keep your hands out of the water, man, if you go there.
Everything else will be safe.
Yeah.
So my theory on that, so they say they had that algae bloom, and we see it over here too, but not as significant as over there. It's already been tested that when that fresh water and salt water mix, it causes the reaction, causes the algae bloom. They say red tide is later, it's happening a lot later in the year. But Lake O is definitely not helping it. If you've seen the historical charts of how they dump Lake O.
But red tide starts from up north.
Yeah.
It doesn't start from the Okeechobee. It comes down this way.
But who knows what our algae bloom from that is doing with the red tide, if it's exacerbating it.
But the Okeechobee doesn't dump over to the west coast like it does to the east coast.
It dumps both ways. There's one river that dumps both ways.
I know, but it's not as significant as over on this side. And then two different allergies, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. So what about the fish, though, with the flesh-eating bacteria? Is the fish going to be safe to eat? What's your thoughts
I wouldn't
on
touch
that?
it. I mean, granted, like I said, I'm going to go there in a week. If I do catch any fish, it's catch and release. I'm not going to touch it.
Last year, I was told that any fish that were caught north of Stewart Inlet, there was a commercial fish house that was not buying any fish caught in that area because of that bacteria and stuff.
Yeah, I wonder how many people lied and said I didn't catch it there.
That was last year, around this time. There was a brief period of time where they did not want any fish from a certain area.
So let me go back to that, though, on the dumping of the water. Right now they've rechanneled Lake O, and it goes our coast and the west coast. Historically, Lake O had subsidiary lakes prior to that that used to funnel all that water through South Miami and through the Everglades, also the canals that they use for that.
Florida Bay. But now they've built up that area so much they only have a certain. Yeah.
They only have the two ways to dump. So hear me out. Hear me out. A lot of people are, you know, they'll say, oh, it's big sugar and it's the pesticides, but the fact that we've changed the water flow, it's definitely not helping it. And it's not. Of course, everybody that's dumping pesticides is probably not a good contributing factor, and fertilizer. But on that hand, it's the fact that they've changed the historical flow is why I think we're seeing a lot more fish dead than before.
No, and there's no doubt about it. And granted, there's a couple simple solutions. And when I mean simple, I don't mean inexpensive. I mean they're expensive, but there's a couple simple solutions. Again, go back to the natural flow. That is one. That could be very, very costly. I do believe there's a way. If you look at a fish tank, okay, if you have a fish tank in your house and you have a protein skimmer, Okay, I'm just using this as a analogy here. You can possibly set, I mean, as much money as we're spending on it already, you can possibly set something up where the water from the lake gets filtered out before it gets dumped. I'm not saying it's not going to cost a lot of money. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it is a solution, and I guarantee you it's possible to be done. Okay, if we can fly spaceships in the outer space, we can come up with a filtration system for the fresh water to be dumped out.
Well, that's why they have the Space Force now.
And it going south, so what happens is Florida Bay needs that fresh water. They want the fresh water. The fishing guides, the residents down there keep saying they'll welcome the water. And it's good for that area. They were saying that there's times where there is a little bit of water that comes out that way, and fishing overnight gets insane over there. And there's that area in Florida Bay is thirsty for that fresh water.
Right, but
it's supposed to go that way.
It's supposed to go that way, and granted, you got to remember everything south of they say Fort Lauderdale and south is basically a swamp.
Right.
So you start sending water that way, you're gonna erode the whole entire south of Miami. So the only reason why we don't dump it out that way, a lot of the reason, is to save Miami and Fort Lauderdale in those areas. And I'm just telling you, that's a proof.
This all goes back to the darn dam that they're not fixing.
The dam?
Yeah, the dam that they're not. So I mean, come on, how many years? As long as I've been alive, I keep hearing about how this thing needs to get fixed, and the water level gets too high, and then they have to let water out because they don't trust it, and a hurricane might come, and all this crap. That's what it comes down to. Fix it.
And
right
here,
I agree. There's a lot of solutions here, and they just don't want to solve it.
Once it's fixed, if the few times they do need to let water out, they let it out south, and it's fine, and it helps everybody.
But realistically, you're not going to change Big Sugar. It's not going to change.
I don't think it's Big Sugar.
It's going to be.
No, I don't. It's a lot. It's a huge part of it, but it's not. It's legitimately not the only reason.
There's a whole bunch of stuff.
There's a whole bunch of stuff in there. Your septic tanks, your fertilizer goes in the grass, your cow manure, your orange citrus growers, there's rice growers. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. But the reality of it is that you can't sit there and blame it on one thing. And Big Sugar is not going to change. They're going to have to still do sugar. They can't just sit there and cancel everything.
No,
so they got to find a way around it. And believe me, there's ways around it, but nobody wants to step up to the plate and go around those routes.
So why don't they let Big Sugar run lines and pump water from Lake O for free?
It's not up to them.
That's what I'm saying. Like at the government, why don't they let them do that? I guarantee you, Big Sugar
It has to do with this.
I guarantee if you tell Big Sugar they can pump for free, if they pay for the lines to be ran into Lake Okeechobee, they'll run those lines.
Exactly.
If they fix the locks and the dam and all that stuff so they can let the water level rise in Lake Okeechobee, we wouldn't be having this. I mean, we would have a much less problem because they wouldn't have to let that much water out every time it rains.
And another simple solution, the cheapest solution I can come up with, at least temporarily, would let the water from all these spillways, let the water overflow from the spillways. Okay, if you let the water overflow from the spillways instead of opening them up, the surface water, especially from the rain, is all clean, fresh water. Okay, that way it goes into. You're not bringing the silt from underneath and everything else from underneath that are causing this. So if you let it do naturally over that way, I think that'll be a temporary solution. I don't think it's going to be a overall long-term solution, but at least it'll help keep the water clean. If you just got to let the water overflow.
And you know what that does too? It keeps all of Andy's brim and tilapia in the fresh water. He likes to catch those.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
But tell us your thoughts. What do you think? Email us. Tell us give us ideas. What's your solution, or what do you think's causing the problem? We'd love to hear from you. Andy, what's that email?
What is that email? xgenfishing@gmail.com.
xgenfishing@gmail.com.
And Mr. Producer will put that at the bottom of the screen so you guys don't have to quickly jot it down. We'll see you next week.